Hello everyone, so I'm back with another round of rapid fire reviews. I'm very behind on my movie watching, so I always do these when I get a little behind on my movie watching with the year. So the four films that I have that I'm going to cover today are The Invitation, 3,000 Years of Longing, Marcel with the Shell with the Shoes On, and Breaking. So again, these are usually all movies that came out a little earlier in the year that I missed out on or straight to streaming. All of these are just movies that I missed out on, and now I'm finally getting to. The case with Marcel the Shell with the Shoes On is it didn't play in my city, and I wasn't able to watch it until now when it went on rent. So it's like renting online. So yes, these are just very quick overviews about what I thought about all of these four movies. Quick summary, my thoughts about it, how well I think it executed its, again, action plan, and my quick little score on it. So without further ado, let us get into it here. So the first film I have is The Invitation. This is about an hour and 45 minutes long. It is about a young woman who is courted and swept off her feet after discovering she has a secret family that she's never met until very recently. She is invited to a wedding of their family. She goes there only to realize that she is part of a gothic conspiracy, or I should say, she is a part of a bloodline that is vampires. So there's not really a whole lot that I can say about this movie. It's directed by Jessica M. Thompson, and it stars Nathalie Emmanuel. I hope I said that right. She was in Game of Thrones playing Missandei. Yeah, I found that the pacing of this movie was really, really bad. It takes a long time to get into it. The last half hour is when things really starts to happen, but I found the entirety of this movie, I just wasn't interested in everything that was going on. I found it was extremely predictable as to what was going to happen and just very ex machina-ish near the ends. One of those things too, where it's just people getting their powers or their special almost out of nowhere kind of thing, and they're able to overcome any obstacle that's thrown at them. I just found it was very bland and boring. I couldn't get into any of the characters, nor the story. Again, it was very easy to see what was coming. I found too that this movie could have been a lot more brutal than it actually kind of was already in terms of just its gore, its horror, the scares that I put into it. It's just it fell flat at a lot of places for me. So really, with everything taken together, I couldn't really get into this movie at all. I'm gonna have to give it a 4 out of 10. Not really much that I can recommend it to, because it's just I found a very lazily written story and very lazily, again, shot horror film. The next film I have is 3,000 Years of Longing. This one is about an hour and 15 minutes long. It is directed by George Miller, and it stars Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba. It is about a lonely scholar played by Tilda who goes on a trip to Istanbul and discovers a djinn who offers her 3 wishes in exchange for his freedom. And geez, I was not expecting this movie to be what it was and do what it did. Watching the trailers, I thought it was going to be like a very raunchy comedy involving, again, just a genie and sexual longing, things like that. That's not at all what this movie was. It actually tells a very beautifully tragic story about, well, one, Tilda's character, and of course, two, Idris Elba's character of the djinn. There is a lot of background story that he is able to, again, tell the audience, all of us, and of course Tilda's character, about just his very tragic past of, again, just 3,000 years of being imprisoned in this bottle, granting wishes to people who don't understand the power that has been given to them from all of these wishes, the things that he's witnessed and watched and basically been powerless to stop throughout his, again, these 3,000 years is something extremely tragic. And I found that they really dove into so many concepts just of politics, of love, of being, again, be so powerful, but being imprisoned within confines that aren't of your own choosing. There's some great sequences too where he's able to like pluck people out of like TVs and have them just be conscious and scared of the reality that they're, again, brought into. The visuals in this movie are absolutely fantastic and beautiful. Cinematography is great, music is great. Of course, the acting, Idris Elba and Tilda Swinton, are fantastic in everything that they do, but especially in this movie, I just found, again, too, just the overall, there's so many little stories that they're able to pack into this movie that all kind of relate to the end game of this, and again just relates to, again, how Idris Elba's character, his djinn, sees the world and wants to, again, thrive in it and love and all of these things. I found it was just a very interesting story about genies and magic, and of course too just loss, longing, so many things that they're able to pack into this movie. And it's just a very beautiful story. It is very, very slow to get into it, but I find that the payoff near the end of this movie, and of course, too, all these mini stories that are within it, all have amazing payoffs if you're paying attention. I get how a lot of people could think that the pacing's weird, some of the visuals are really weird, even though they're absolutely beautiful. Some people might not understand a lot of the things that Tilda Swinton's character sees in the beginning of the movie. I'm still kind of figuring some of that stuff out, but truly it is a beautiful movie. Overall, I'm gonna have to give it a 7 out of 10. Again, it's such a good story, and I do think that it's something that everyone should give a shot to. I know this movie isn't going to be for everyone for certain, but very, very well done. Highly recommend it. Again, too, just an absolutely beautifully tragic story. So again, the next film I have is Marcel, the Cell with the Shoes On. This one is 90 minutes long. Of course, Dean Fleischer Camp and Jenny Slate, well, directs it, stars in it, and of course, Jenny Slate is in this as well, voicing Marcel. Love these YouTube videos about like 10, 12 years ago, I think, that they were coming out. And this is one of my most anticipated movies of the year when I found out that they were actually making a Marcel movie. It's by A24, and you all know how much I love their stuff. But yeah, long time coming for me to see this movie, and I was not disappointed one bit. It was well worth the wait for me. I really, really enjoyed. Again, it's a feature adaptation of the animated short about a mollusk named Marcel. In this movie, he is basically trying to track down his family through the help of Dean Fleischer Camp, the original creator of this. He's basically moved into an Airbnb, discovers Marcel, starts filming it, and wants to tell his story to the world and help him find his family. Jeez, this movie got me emotional on a lot of things, and I was just absolutely sucked into it. I loved how they were able to take the original YouTube videos from like 10, 12 years ago and create, just again, give new meaning to those videos and Marcel's story, and again, just really expand it into the world, all about, again, a sense of community and loss and growing up, learning from your elders, being adventurous. So many things, again, that this movie tackles. And it has some of the most beautiful dialogue that I've heard in a movie in a long, long time. Again, too, the comedy I found is just genuinely so funny and so pure. It is such a feel good movie. Again, too, there's a lot in this movie that's going to unwind your emotions a little bit, make you feel vulnerable, but in the best way possible. There's just a lot of great commentary about, just again, to how people will view tragic stories like Marcel as entertainment as opposed to actually helping them out. And it takes a lot for people to find the right people who are going to help them throughout their lives. And again, too, just the cinematography in this was really great too, having everything from the perspective of Marcel and just little things that you wouldn't think of, where the dust on the table is basically like skating rinks for him and his family. They love to watch 60 Minutes off on the couch. There's just so many great things about this movie that made me laugh a lot. Made me, again, it did make me shed some tears near the end. It is such a beautiful film with some of the most unique cinematography and storytelling. It was just a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be, but in a way that, again, by the end of it, it's just such a feel good story. It makes you just feel whole inside by the end of this movie, and I loved it so much. It is, for what this movie was trying to do, I found it was a perfect film, and that is why I have to give it a 10 out of 10. I know, again, so this might not be something for everyone because they think, oh, it's weird, it's a mollusk talking, but voice acting so good. There's just, again, there's so much about this movie that's so pure and beautiful and unique in so many ways. That's just, again, just absolutely amazing, and I recommend it to everyone. I loved it so much, so please go watch Marcel with the Shoes On. Just a very, very wholesome film that I think should be recognized in a large way. And then the last film I have is Breaking. This movie is about an hour and 40 minutes long, stars John Boyega, and is about a Marine veteran who faces mental and emotional challenges when he tries to reintegrate back into civilian life. Just, again, has so many problems like so many veterans do, where if they just feel abandoned by their governments, by the monetary systems that are supposed to be in place for them, they don't find that they get the help that they need. He's losing his family and he doesn't have enough money to feed himself, feed his family, again, just reintegrate back into society. So he goes into a Wells Fargo bank and demands the money that he feels like is stolen from him, and it turns into a hostage situation from there. And really what carries this movie, I find, is the performance of John Boyega, and again, just a lot of the people who are trapped inside the bank with him. I did find that when it comes to talking about veteran life and things like that, there's a lot more that this movie could have done and shown. I found like they skipped over a lot of things, but the performances really, really carry this movie. This is an amazing performance by John Boyega. Truly understood his character and the emotions that come from, again, just veterans feeling like they've been abandoned by their country, their people, again, just the systems that they fought for are now failing them. I just felt like there was so much more that needed to be explored. But truly, the performance of this very, very well done. The ending does fall a little flat, but I know that's just kind of it's based off a true story, and that's unfortunately how it did go. But the performances is what carried this movie. I'm gonna have to give it a 6 out of 10. I do think it's worth a watch for again John Boyega's performance, but I just felt like there was a lot of meats kind of missing to telling the story that this movie was trying to tell. So if you've seen any of these foreign movies, please let me know what you thought about them in the comments down below. And of course, if you like this review, definitely give it a thumbs up. And you should check out everything I do on the channel to play down below. And I'll link some top here for convenience sake. Thank you for subscribing and turn that little ring on so you know when I upload new videos. If you want to check out the description of this video on my channel bio, there's a link to the Media Mountain, which is my Discord where we talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV, pretty much everything that's awesome in this world. So you definitely join that amazing community. Help make it even more amazing than it is already. And yeah, just awesome, guys.
Sky blue eyes, I see a world behind them. No more time sinking into the side.